Thank you. So I dressed up today thinking it was my last lecture. Then they told me it's not your last lecture. That's just what we call the series. So here I am. So I chose Life Isn't Fair and How to Succeed Anyway. And the reason I chose that is because I deal with a lot of students who you take too many courses, life gets in the way. We all went through COVID. You know, I was dealing with students who were in the hospital, students that had family members in the hospital. What do I do? How do I do it? Help me, please, talk to me about what I can do. So I was like, I think it's a good topic. Now, the interesting thing is if you look at the last lecture series for this spring, you'll see this is a topic that kind of flows through all of the lectures this spring. Several of us must have had the same thought, which is, how do we talk about adversity? How do we talk about failure? How do we talk about succeeding? Okay, so that's kind of where I came from. So here's an overview of what I'm going to talk about. First of all, kind of hard not to talk about myself. If you're going to listen to what I talk about in terms of failure, success, fairness, you might want to know a little bit about me. In other words, have I actually experienced any of it? Might have an idea about what I'm talking about? So we'll talk about me as well. Then Life Isn't Fair, How to Succeed, and then I'll conclude. So it is a little sensitive, you're right. So where did I start out? My life started out unfair. I was born in Liverpool, England. My mother, at the base, my father was in the Air Force, stationed at Burtonwood Air Force Base. My mother was born in Liverpool. And guess what? Hospital at the base was closed because of an infection in the ward. Local hospital had another problem where they were closed. So I was born at home in my grandmother's house upstairs and started out life a little different. Military brat, which meant I moved every 2 years. Life isn't fair. I don't have any childhood friends because every 2 years I made new friends. Now that means I'm probably why I can talk as well as I can, why I can make friends as easily as I can, because I was forced to. Every 2 years I started over again. So think about Groundhog Day every 2 years. New school, new people, new friends, new community, new country. I lived in Pakistan, Germany, England, Oklahoma, Texas, South Carolina, Georgia. A lot of different things. I was not a Yank and not a Limey I put up there because when I was in England, I'm a Yank. I didn't fit in. I didn't belong. It wasn't fair. I didn't get treated the same. I got treated differently. When I was in America, I had an English accent. I was a Limey. Didn't fit in, didn't belong. There was a part of my life where I was like, I'm a man with no country. I'm not American. I'm not English. Because when I'm in one country or the other, they view me as not being a part of that country due to my accent. It made me different. So it wasn't the color of my skin, wasn't where I was born, but it was the fact that I talked differently, so I was treated differently. Joined the Navy at 17 years old, racing my Mini on a Saturday night, wrecked it on the motorway. Monday morning called the U.S. Embassy in London, said I want to join the Navy. How do I do it? Got on a bus Wednesday, drove to London, took all my tests. Give you an idea of unfairness. I got a perfect score on the math portion. And the chief recruiter looked at me and goes, I've never seen that at all before. So you know what? I have to make you take it over again. I was like, why? He goes, because I have to make sure you weren't cheating. I said, wait a minute. I'm in your office taking your test. How could I cheat? But they made me take it over again. So another little thing that happened. So I went in the Navy, got out of the Navy. First of all, I made first class in less than 4 years. Bound to succeed. Got out, went to junior college like a lot of you guys. I was at Pensacola Junior College. Didn't know what I wanted to do, didn't know what I wanted to study. I was, computer science, general studies. I took an accounting course, got an A, and went, it's logical. I can do this. Took a second accounting course, got another A. It was like I need to be an accountant. Looked into a degree at the University of West Florida. And for those of you who don't know the history, it used to be junior colleges were the first 2 years. The Compass schools, as I call them, West Florida, North Florida, South Florida, Central Florida, they were upper level. That was your junior and senior year. So you transferred, again, from one school to another, make all new friends, start over again. I became an accounting information systems student. half computers, half accounting. Problem was nobody knew what that was. So guess what? I switched all the way into accounting, moved to Jacksonville with Pete Mark Mitchell, became a tax accountant, and went from there. So, big date in my life, August 3rd, 2001. I collapsed with what they call an esophageal varices bleed. Okay, what that means is all the blood vessels in my throat burst. It has an 85% mortality rate, caused by normally your liver failure. Your liver is failing, and what happens is it's like taking a garden hose and clamping it while the pressure's still on, and all your blood vessels keep expanding till they burst. You die because you bleed to death. Think about all these little tiny vessels in your throat, and you're going to try and stop the bleeding. So I was rushed to St. Luke's, now it's St. Vincent's Southside. I was given 10 units of blood. For those of you who don't know, your body holds 8 to 12. I was given 10, I recovered. At the end of that week, and this is August 2001, I had a doctor sit on my bed and look at me and say, "You have 1 year to live." I can tell you that that's a real shocking thing to have somebody tell you. You don't believe it. Can't be true. Not me. He's like, your liver is totally shot. You're done. So, about a month later, month and a half later, I got on a bus to go to Pensacola to my parents' house because I was that sick, to have them help me. Couldn't drive. Got to my parents' house, and the next night, they all burst again. I had a second esophageal varices bleed. Got me to the hospital, emergency room, got me patched up. 2 weeks later, I got out of the hospital. 2 nights later, another bleed. 3 esophageal varices bleeds. Again, 85% mortality for one. After that, I had what's called a TIPS procedure, where they bypass all your blood to your liver, and I went to Mayo Clinic hoping that they would give me a transplant. Mayo Clinic, doctor called me January, and he said, January 2004, and he said, "You know what? Our counselor met with you. She knew my daughter. My daughter went to Stanton Prep, and she said, your daughter's 20 years old. She can't possibly take care of you. I was divorced. She can't take care of you after a transplant, so she recommended I not be accepted." That's a death sentence. We're going to let you die. Well, I didn't accept that. I went back to Pensacola, talked to my sister and my family, and guess what? We found this place called Ochsner Medical Center in New Orleans. Turns out Ochsner is the Mayo of the Midwest. So go over there, meet with the doctors, and at the time they thought this had to be due to alcoholism, because that's a common cause of esophageal varices bleed. I drank, but I didn't think that bad. So they talked to me and they said, "Tell you what, if you'll agree that we can test you any single time randomly, and if we find alcohol, you're dropped from the program. If you'll sign a contract saying that, we'll accept you." I said, "Do you want me to sign in blood or with a pen?" So I signed up, and turns out I got my transplant March 3rd, 2004. My doctor, now you want to talk about life isn't fair, and life is fair. So in January, I get told, "You can die. We're not taking you at Mayo." As my doctor who sent me to Mayo from Borland Groover said, "Your name's not Faisal. You're not rich. You know, life isn't fair." A week after I was turned down, Pat Summerall got transplanted at Mayo. Rich, famous. 3 weeks after that, somebody sent me a newspaper clipping from the Times-Union showing where they transplanted a person with hepatitis C, drug use. They'd killed their liver with drug use. They got transplanted. But because my daughter was 20 and couldn't care for me, I didn't get in the program. Not fair. Luckily, I got transplanted March 3rd, 2004. My doctor, Dr. James Eason, he went on to do a little procedure a few years later. He was the transplant surgeon for Steve Jobs. Life is fair. By chance, I ended up with one of the top transplant surgeons in the world. Okay? First guy to ever do a living donor transplant in Texas and Louisiana. Moved to Memphis after Katrina to start their transplant program. That's where he did Steve Jobs. Life worked out. So, after that 1 year to live and all that, I had to restart my career. So how do I do it? I'm a lawyer. By the way, another thing, when they intubated me and extubated me, which is what they do for giving you your sedation, they've paralyzed my vocal cords. So I couldn't speak. I'm a lawyer. I can't talk. I'm a trial lawyer, not just a lawyer. I try cases, and I can't talk. What am I going to do? So one of my old law school buddies invited me to Lakeland, gave me a chance, and started my career over again. So, life isn't fair. How do we start off with what is fairness? So fairness refers to the quality of being just, impartial, unbiased. It talks about treating everybody equally, giving them what they deserve based on their actions or merit. Absence of discrimination, presence of equal opportunities, we often define as the consistency of how we're treated. That's fairness. It's what we all want. Unfairness is when we get into it's unjust, it's partial, it's biased. You treat people differently or you give them less because of who they are or what they are. It's basically giving individuals less than what they feel they're entitled to or what the rules and procedures entitle them to. So then we get to adversity. Adversity is difficult, unpleasant circumstances, challenges, obstacles. What are the things that get in the way, that stop you from achieving what you're trying to do? It can be an illness in my case. It can be poverty. You know, I didn't tell you when I lived in England, my grandparents, we lived in rental houses from the government, what they call row houses, council houses. I still laugh at this. They didn't trust us to pay the electric bill every month. So we had meters on the electric and the gas meter. And so you'd be watching TV at night and all of a sudden it would go black. Uh-oh, got to get up, strike a match, go to the closet and take the half crowns or the shillings off the meter, put them in and turn the dial like an old parking meter and turn on the electricity. They didn't trust us to pay the bill. So again, difficult, unpleasant circumstances, challenges that can affect your life. So, what is success? Let me make sure I get accomplishment of a desired goal or outcome. It can be personal, professional, it can be money, it can be where you live, it can be how you act, it can be whatever. In my case, you know, at 64 years old, I decided to start running. I hated running my whole life. You know, I'm a retired commander, U.S. Navy. I had to do my run every 6 months. That's the only time I ran. Mile and a half. My goal was 15 minutes, 30 seconds, so I did it in 15:29. Not a second more, and hopefully not a second less. I just wanted to pass. So I hated running. At age 64, I decided I was going to run. A guy by the name of Dr. David Fish here at the college was my best friend. And David was a Navy SEAL. And when I came back from a motorhome trip, I said, David, I want to get fit and I want to lose weight. And he said, Paul, let's pick one or the other. Because if you try to do them both at the same time, you're going to fail. So why don't we work on the weight first, then we'll work on the fitness. And so we worked on the weight. And I went on intermittent fasting, and I went on keto, and I watched every single thing I ate. This is a guy, by the way, when he was in Guantanamo Bay, he left here for a year because he had to go down to Gitmo. He counted the chocolate chips that were his dessert for the day, so he could eat 5 chocolate chips. So when he was guiding me and giving me some advice, he had already been there and done it himself. So I started out, I lost the weight, I lost 42 pounds, and then I started working out. And by the way, this is all baby steps. So success comes down to little things. For me, success was I got on the treadmill and ran. Hated it, hate treadmills. But I did a mile on the treadmill and went, I can actually do it. So 2 days later, I got on the treadmill and I ran again. And I was like, holy crap, I've done it twice. This is a miracle. Now, I have a Garmin watch, and the Garmin watch was telling me I could run a 5K in 27 minutes. I'm like, there's no way, no way. So 3 days later, I was like, I got to try this out. So I ran 3.1 miles. Actually, I ran 3.17. I didn't trust it. It might lie to me. I don't want to be short. If I'm going to do this, I'm going all the way. 34 minutes or something like that. The watch lied to me, but the watch got me doing it. I succeeded. I did a 5K. Then I did the Gate River Run 5K 2 months later, or actually a month later, and that got me going. So, it can be lots of different things. Measure it by your personal happiness and fulfillment. I like this part. Success is defined by you and on your terms only, not by anybody else. Don't let anybody else try to tell you what is success. Success can be as simple as counting 5 chocolate chips and that's it for the day. Success can be getting through buds in Hell Week as a Navy SEAL. This is a letter that David Fish wrote, and it's kind of interesting. I found this. I handled his estate. David died May 2021. Went out jogging. He'd been at my house for 2 hours, went home, went out for his run, came home, walked through the door, and died a sudden cardiac death. We found him the next day. When I went through his stuff, I found this letter. This letter was written in 1982. This is the last night before the last day of Hell Week in Buds. Anybody know what Buds is, or Hell Week?
I know what Hell Week is.
Okay, so Buds is basic underwater demolition school. It's what a Navy SEAL goes through. It's their initial training. Hell Week is when they put them through hell. They carry telephone poles as a crew. They take their boat out into the ocean. They lay in the ocean for hours and get wet. And by the way, it's cold. This is the Pacific Ocean. They get covered in sand. They sleep 3 to 8 hours a week. In that entire week, 3 to 8 hours. So this is the last night that he's in Hell Week, and he writes this letter, because they make him write a letter, because they're trying to test how they can do. Now, anytime in Hell Week, you can go ring this bell 3 times and quit. It's that easy. And they tell him, oh, just ring the bell. There's a nice warm bed for you. We've got food for you. We've got pizza. We've got cake. It's warm in there. Dry clothes.
Quit 3 days in.
3 days in, the nephew quit.
Yeah.
So in this case, in David's case, they started with 49 people going into Hell Week. There's 38 left the night he's writing this. By the time they were done, they had like 18. And he's sitting there and he says, here we are at the Naval Special Warfare Training Center. Today is not an ordinary day here at Buds. No, today is Thursday. Remember, he hasn't had sleep. Today is Thursday, one day before Spring Class 119 finishes Hell Week. We are right now sitting in a classroom soaked to the bone, which is nothing to the men who are here. On Monday, May 10th, they started with 49 of these. There are only 38. When training first started in April, they had 56. In 6 short weeks, they lost 18 men. Understand something, when these guys go there, they're at the peak of fitness. Physically, they are at the peak. They can run 10 miles, they can do 400 push-ups, they can do 500 jumping jacks. They are at the peak. So it's all mental. This is all mental. And Hell Week is designed to flush them out. Last thing I want is a guy in combat next to me that can't think, or is too cold, or wants to go and get out of the rain. So he talks about it here. He says they graduate September 24th, 82. For the 18 who were left, not all were quitters. Some were medical, some just disenrolled. But he talks about the whole thing of 3 to 8 hours sleep. And he goes on and he talks about, at the end of it, he says, I'm cold, wet, and hungry, but I want to be a combat swimmer. Success is defined by our terms, what we want. For him, he told me, his idea of success was getting to sunrise every day. If I can make it to tomorrow's sunrise, I know I can go through another day. So when he was going through Hell Week, it was all about waking up and seeing the sun. By the way, he was seeing the sun laying in the surf, covered in sand, shivering so his body wouldn't go into hypothermia, and he would just hope to see the sun. So define success on your terms. Now, what are the steps to succeed? I look at acceptance, attitude, control, support system, action and risks, resiliency, and perspective. First of all, accept that life isn't fair. Once you get beyond that, now you can start to deal with it. Life is not fair. You can't choose how things happen. Give you an example. I told you a minute ago that when I had the liver transplant, they thought it was alcoholism, which I probably was an alcoholic from as much as I drank. However, 2 months after my transplant, there was an article in the paper about a medication called Surzone that was taken off the market for causing liver failure. It was an antidepressant. Guess what I'd been taking for 1.5 years after my divorce? I'd been taking Surzone. So I'd been taking medication that caused liver failure. Life isn't fair. So you accept that. Then you acknowledge the reality of the situation you're in. So let's not talk about life and death. You got homework due on Sunday night at 11:59 p.m., right? It's not fair because guess what? You're working. I talk to a lot of my students. You're working. You've got kids at home. You've got a spouse. You're dealing with outside pressures. You've got a mother, father who's sick. You've got things happening in your life. It's not fair. And this professor won't listen. They're like, nope, 11:59 Sunday night. So you got to accept that's the situation. Then what you got to do is you got to take control of your own life. Nobody's going to do it for you. I was told that my whole life. Paul, pick yourself up, do it yourself. Nobody's going to do it for you. So what you have to do is you have to take control and decide, I am going to succeed. Then you got to analyze the opportunities that are available to you. When I was in the Navy, I had to look at, do I want to make rank? Why do I want to make rank? When I was in Memphis going to A school, if I could become an E4, I was an E2, but if I could get meritorious promotion to E4, it meant that when I got to my new duty station, I didn't have to go work in the galley or clean the barracks. Guess what my motivation was? I don't want to go clean the barracks or work in the galley as what we called a mess crank. So I worked to get meritorious advancement to E4 out of school, signed for an extra year, and became a petty officer. Take responsibility for your own actions and results. Don't blame others for your failures. If you fail, just look at it. Why did I fail and what am I doing? So back in October, how were the Jaguars playing? Horrible. Absolutely horrible. People were starting to go, is Trevor Lawrence really the guy? Are they, here we go again. You know, we've been dealing with this now for so many years. It's all starting again. Coach Peterson played a video to the team. There's a guy named Jocko Willink, and he's a Navy SEAL commander, and he now teaches, leadership, how to deal with adversity. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Really interesting guy, and he has a podcast, and he has some books out on leadership and dealing with things. This is the video that was played by Coach Peterson to the team. How do I get over to that? What's that? Is it touch? Online video is not supported. Okay, so watch the video when you get home. Jocko Willink, and it's called Good. What Jocko talks about in here is whenever something would happen on the teams, don't get promoted, good. You don't get advanced, good. You're getting shot at and things are all going to crap, good. You got the job you wanted, good. You keep everything in perspective, okay? Because the idea is that you can learn from everything. So guess what? When you don't get the promotion, you step back and you go, why didn't I get the promotion? What was the reason? What can I do to fix that? What can I do to change it? When you're under fire and you're in a situation, how did we get here? How do we get out of it? Analyze my opportunities. How do I get out of the situation I'm in? So watch the video called Good, Jocko Willink. Control. Take control of your own life. Don't let other people do it. Figure out what you want, what makes you happy, what you want to do, what you want to achieve. And then do it, okay? Don't let other people guide you, push you. I have students go, well, my mom said I should be an accountant. No offense to your mother, but you're the person that's going to live your life, not your mother. Is that what you really want to do? I get asked all the time as a lawyer, should I be a lawyer? I can't tell you that. My advice to students is always, if it's something you've always wanted to do, then go for it. But if you're just going to want to be a lawyer because you think you can be John Morgan, by the way, I opened Morgan Colin Gilbert's office here in town. If you want to be John Morgan, you might want to think twice. There's only one John Morgan. If you think you're going to get rich as a lawyer, remember, there are public defenders downtown getting paid $41,000 a year. That's a doctorate. 7 years of education to make $41,000 a year. Go wait tables. You can make more money. So I tell them, think about what it is you really want, okay? Focus on what you can control. Stress. If you've ever taken a stress management course, they'll talk to you about how do you deal with stress? Number one, you start to deal with stress by looking at what can I control? Can I control your actions? No. Can I control anybody doing something? No. But I can control how I react to it. I can control what I do about it. I can control my life. So you start by going, what can I do? Maybe I can get fit. Maybe I can lose weight. Maybe I can read an extra book each week. Maybe I can start my homework by Wednesday night so that it's done by Friday night and I have the weekend to chill out and relax. So you start to look at what can I control? What are my own actions and reactions to adversity and success? How do I handle things when they're bad? Do I just give up? Do I walk away? Or do I look at them and go, it's a challenge. How do I fix it? How do I deal with it? What can I do better? So you start to look at, what do I do? How do I handle it? Then work hard to achieve your goals. Nothing comes easy. I look at David. That wasn't easy. He achieved his goal. He became a combat swimmer. He saw combat in Beirut. He saw combat in Grenada. He achieved his goal. By the way, David had 5 degrees. He had his doctorate and he had 4 other degrees. He set goals and he achieved them. He also had set a goal, and he had told me about this. He was like, I want to retire with enough money that I'm okay. So when he was young, he had learned the value of compounding and the time value of money. And he started putting away a little bit of money. Think about putting away the cost of a Starbucks every week. And you put away the cost of that Starbucks every week. I can tell you, when David died, he had enough to live comfortably the rest of his life. But he didn't live that way. He lived like he had nothing. He watched what he did. He watched how he spent it. He watched how he lived his life. So set your goals. His goal was to have enough money to retire comfortably. He did that. His goals were to earn degrees. He did that. His goal was to be a good professor here. He did that. His goal was to be a Navy SEAL. He achieved that. You can do the same thing. Then develop a strong work ethic. You can't just say, I'm going to do it, and then not do anything. So start with little steps. My mother used to tell me, Paul, I remember she was English. She made it to 8th grade, and World War II stopped her education. But she would say to me, you know how you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. Start small. When I started exercising, I started riding an e-bike. People go, oh, it's an e-bike. That's not exercising. Turn off the power. Now you're pedaling a 65-pound bike. So I started with an e-bike, turned off the power. Luckily for me, Wounded Warrior Project took me to what's called a soldier ride, put me through a whole class on riding bikes, not e-bikes, regular bikes, and then took me out and had me do a 20-mile bike ride the first day. The next day we went out and did an 18-mile bike ride, and I went, I can do this. Sometimes you need someone to kind of show you you can do it. Be resilient in the face of setbacks. You're going to fail. It's going to happen. Things are going to get in the way. Oh, I planned to get my homework done by Wednesday night, but my child got sick. Or my spouse came home and had to go work overtime, so I've got to pick up the slack. Lots of things get in the way. All you do is develop a new plan and then set a new goal and figure out how to accomplish that goal. Build a support system of family, friends, mentors, and strangers. I can't emphasize enough how that works. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my brother, my 2 sisters, my mom, and my dad. They took me to appointments. They took me to get tests run. They were with me. They helped me set up my place at Ochsner. I moved into an apartment on the Monday. Tuesday night, I got a phone call. My phone rang and said, we have a donor. You need to show up. I could barely walk. I took my little suitcase and I walked 2 blocks to Ochsner's emergency room, walked in and said, I was told to show up. You have a liver for me. Support system. You've got to have it. David Fish had his rule of 5, and I'm just going to say it. It's kind of funny. He had his 5 things he lived by. So set your own standards. His were fashion. He liked to dress well, wanted to look good, because he figured if I dress well and look good, people think I'm successful. Then they want to help me. They want to do things for me. They want to get me there. He had fitness. He ran 3 days a week. He worked out with weights 3 days a week. Finances. He believed it was important to make sure your finances were in control, so he had those goals set for retirement, for money. I can tell you guys, and I tell all my students, if you work for an employer that matches your 401k, you need to be putting in every penny you can to that match level. If they match 4%, you put in 4%. That's free money. He had philosophy. Doesn't begin with an F, does it? But that was one of his. He had his own philosophies on life and how to live your life. One of them was integrity. He wanted to be, if he shook your hand and told you he would do something, he would do it. And then finally, he had this belief that friends. You should all have a circle of 5 friends that are your ride or die. You can turn to them for anything. You need 5 friends. Now, what if you don't have them? So his deal was, Paul, join meetups, find interests. You want to go learn pickleball? Go join a pickleball group. Meet people. You'll probably make 1 friend out of that. Running, join Jacksonville Track Club. You might meet 1 person you go run with. Go to the gym, talk to people in the gym. Don't just do your workout, talk to them. You might make another friend. His belief was you get 5 friends and they become your dearest friends and your supporters. Mental health. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I've gone to counseling. Best thing I ever did. Have somebody you can talk to that you can trust is just amazing. To be able to share things and have no judgment, have somebody who can listen to you, give you advice and talk to you, it's worth a fortune. So don't forget your own mental health. Take a day off. Do something that's for you. Buy a nice piece of clothing that you've wanted for a while. You know, do the things that make you feel good, not just other people, okay? And then here at the college, I put this in my syllabus and I try to talk to people about it. I don't think the college does a good job telling you guys about it. That's my honest opinion. We have a student assistance program. Same way as an employee, I can pick up the phone, call the 800 number and say, I'm having problems in a divorce, I'm having financial problems, I can't cope, I'm down because of COVID, I don't know what to do, and they will set me up with counseling and therapy or anything I need to get me through it. We have the same thing for students. It's part of your tuition. You've paid for it. It's there. They'll set you up with counselors. They'll set you up for help you set up budgets, get your finances in order. They'll talk to you about credit counseling. They'll talk to you about mental health, talk to you about how to deal with stress. They'll do it all for you. It's free. It's all right there. If you're having problems with alcohol, you're having problems with drugs or substances, they will guide you and help you. But we don't promote it enough. We don't tell people about it. It's there, okay? Now, actions and risks. I said earlier, you've got to analyze opportunities. You've got to look at what's out there, what's available, what can make me better. If I work for a company that offers tuition assistance, do I should take advantage of that? Yes. Have them pay my tuition. I was driving on the base at NAS Jax in yellow Porsche, and the sailor stopped me and he's like, sir, I love your car. I'd love to have something like this someday. And I looked at him and I said, get an education. Use your tuition assistance, use your GI Bill, get an education. The only reason I have this is because of an education. Nobody gave it to me. I didn't inherit anything. I got an education. So I like to talk about nothing ventured, nothing gained. Take a risk. I'm a CPA. I'm a lawyer. So 8 years into being a CPA, I was bored. I also have ADD, I think, or ADHD. I was bored. Tired of doing tax returns. My clients were Toyota, CSX, Bacardi rum. I had big clients. I was doing the international tax planning for Bacardi all over the world, and I decided to go to law school. People told me I'm nuts, you're crazy. I didn't understand the process. I only applied to one school, University of Florida. Later on, people were like, are you crazy? You got to apply to like 10 of them. No, I applied to one. It's either get in or not. I got in, became a lawyer. I gave up my nice paying CPA job, which was a lot of money, to go to law school, to come out of law school and make a lot less money. Doesn't make any sense. But I took a risk because I wanted to go do something I enjoyed. I love trying cases. So you can tell I don't mind talking to people. So I went to law school, became a lawyer, came out, started a new career. Came to the college. Funny story. I interviewed with Dr. Maggie Cabrali, back when she was president, Kent Campus, she offered me the job, and I said, awesome. Now, you got to understand, this is what they call a 180-day position. So I said, great. Do I sign both contracts now, or do I just sign one now and one later? And she looked at me and she went, what do you mean, Paul? I said, well, it said, you know, as a doctorate, it's $47,000 a year for 180-day contracts. I'm assuming, you know, 6 months and 6 months, I need to sign 2 contracts. She looked at me and she said, has nobody explained to you what a 180-day contract is? I was like, no. It's not 100, I'm an accountant. 180 is 360, that's an accounting year, piece of cake. She goes, no, 180 work days. That's your August through May. And she could tell the look on my face, and she went, if you need to think about this, why don't you call me Monday and let me know what you think. So over the weekend, I'm thinking, oh, this is not what I thought. This is not, you know, $94,000 a year, which, trust me, was going to be a big cut in pay, but I was like, no big deal. I can get through it. Now it's going to be 47. So I called her Monday morning and I said, I just have one question. Am I allowed to practice law at the same time? She said, yeah, absolutely. Accepted. I took the job. Best decision I ever made in my life. I love teaching. I'm fulfilled by this. I've never done anything in my life that gives me more pleasure, fulfills me more than being a professor. I love it. But it was all by taking a risk. I took a huge risk. My friends who are lawyers are like, you are nuts. Why would you do that? Because you know what? It gives me satisfaction. It affects me here, not here. So take risks. Step out of your comfort zone and try something new. I decided I wanted to go scuba diving this summer. Never done it my entire life. I'm 65. Don't like sharks. The whole idea of sharks has always bothered me. So I was like, I'm going to do it. Went, got certified, diving in the springs. There are no sharks in the springs. Turtles, manatees. Then I did my ocean dives in Costa Maya and Cozumel. All I could think of was dun-dun, dun-dun. But I did it. I got out of my comfort zone. I'm now a certified diver. I'm going diving in different places. I love it. I do underwater photography because one of my hobbies is photography. It's amazing. Get out of your comfort zone. Try something new. Action leads to progress and a sense of control. If you're not doing something when you're depressed and you're upset and you can't feel like you can get any further, it's time to take control of things and do something. By the way, that something can be get out of the house. Take a walk. I was cycling and doing a lot of cycling, and I got into it where I was looking at my cadence and my heart rate and how fast am I going and how many miles did I do today and how am I training, and I quit. I tore a rotator cuff last year weightlifting, and I was like, I quit. I had a very expensive bike sitting there I never rode. And there was somebody on Facebook, and it's called Solitary Cycling, it's a Facebook group, that said, I quit cycling, how do I get started again? And somebody said, just take a ride around the block. Don't put on your clip-on shoes and put on your helmet, your bike, and just go for a ride around the block. And I thought about that, and I was like, that's my problem. I'm overthinking this. How do I get back to that level up here of riding 60 miles a week and doing 30-mile rides and getting a cadence set exactly the same for the entire ride? No. I put on my helmet, I put air in my tires, I went out and I rode around the block and I went, that was easy. Next day I went out and rode 6 miles, went, okay, and I got back into riding again. Sometimes you just got to get out and do something, and you got to have that sense of control. I'm controlling this. I'm doing it. So doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. Albert Einstein. I've tried to live this rule my entire life. If you're doing something and it's not succeeding, guess what? You got to try something different. You've got to do something new. If you find that trying to do your homework by Wednesday every week and it doesn't work, then rethink, how do I do my homework to get it done by Sunday? Maybe I start at Monday night. Maybe I start at Tuesday morning. Maybe I can ask at work, can you guys give me an extra hour each week to work on my education? How do I do it differently? How do I change things? But you can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and getting the same result and then thinking it'll change. It won't. We're going to fail. I love examples. Anybody use a Dyson vacuum cleaner? I have 2 of them. 5,126 failed prototypes before he achieved 1 working model. He's now, by the way, Sir James Dyson. He's a knight of the British Empire. He's extremely wealthy, and he failed 5,000 times. Oprah Winfrey was fired as a television news anchor. Just celebrated her birthday, and everybody's raving over it, but she was fired. She picked herself up, went back to work, and did it again. You learn from your mistakes. What caused me to get fired? Why did my prototype fail? What do I need to do differently? So you sit back and you think, how do I change it? You adapt to the situation and you learn to be flexible. Change what you're doing. Again, pick yourself up and try again. Find meaning and purpose in the adversity you're facing. Why is this happening? What's going wrong? What can I do different? How can I be better? How about asking for the people around you to help you? Don't be afraid to ask. See it in a different light. Step back and analyze it. When we're right in the middle of something, it's really hard to have perspective and see where we are and what's going on. Sometimes you got to step back, ask somebody else what they think. Give me some advice. Tell me what I'm doing. Tell me what I could do differently. So I always want to get opinions that are different than my own. If everybody's sitting there telling me I'm great and I'm awesome and I'm wonderful, I'm probably not going to step out of my comfort zone and do anything. So you want people that go, no, you could be better. No, you could do this differently. No, you can succeed. Now, you don't want people who are just negative, 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 but you want people to give you a different opinion. And then never stop educating yourself. I don't care what it is. If it's a hobby, if it's about how to raise your kids, if it's about how to have a successful relationship, if it's about how to study at school, don't ever stop learning. You've got to learn to get through life. Now, Michael Jordan, he missed 9,000 shots in his career. He lost 300 games 26 times. He's been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. He's failed over and over and over again in his life, and that's why he succeeded. Again, it's okay to fail. Life can be beautiful and meaningful. I think I live an amazing life. I travel all over the world. I come to school and I get to teach people that are interested and are interesting to me. I love listening to your stories. I love knowing what's going on in your life. I get meaning out of that. It gives me things that keep me going. I find joy in the small things, try to be grateful. I understand that life is a journey. And by the way, life is short. When my friend David Fish dropped dead, he was 58 years old. Life is short. Live it to the fullest. I'm a real believer in the way you deal with things is you deal with today and tomorrow. What happened yesterday, I can't change, I can't fix, I can't do anything about it, so I don't worry about it. You know, the old saying, don't cry over spilled milk. Well, it's true. I can't fix the past. I can't change what happened to me. I can't change what somebody did to me. What I can do is change how I deal with today, and I can change how I deal with tomorrow. And then adversity is an opportunity for growth and development. Don't look at it like poor, poor me. Look at it like, what can I do to change my life for the better? I think if you follow these, you're going to be successful. And that is my lecture, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.